Da, 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 da. We did it. We're back. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Hopefully you had a good break. Maybe took a bio break. Join us in the booth. Ask some great questions. Met some great people. You should also use that time to network professionally with everybody else that's here, right? Other folks with similar interest, following and talking and seeing similar things. So do absolutely leverage this time to professionally network. Myself, too. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to have a chat. But next, uh, we are very, very excited to announce our next speaker who's promised us a very interactive and exciting session. The man, the myth, the legend, Tito Bohrt, who is, as many of you know, the CEO at AltiSales, a company focused on building outbound SDR teams, right? So he spent the last 10 years building over 50 sales teams from scratch, right? So he's hired and trained over 100 individual sales reps and top performers. He's a blogger, a professional blogger, right, or semi-professional blogger, however you want to portray that, at Sales Hacker and on LinkedIn. He's also a mentor at the Alchemist Accelerator in San Francisco, a public speaker for sales events such as Outreach's Unleash, and an angel investor in B2B SaaS startups. Also, most recently, a celebrity guest speaker here at Accelerate, sponsored by Outplay, here in 2021. So with no further ado, we'll bring him on stage, the one, the only Tito Bohrt.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. Seems like my camera went off for a second there, but I'm excited to be here. And we are going to make this session fun, interactive. We're going to be covering as much ground as we can. So I'm going to go a little bit fast, and should be a lot of fun, David. So
awesome. Well, the stage is yours.
Awesome. So as you know from the topic of the conversation today, we're going to talk from cold call to close to one. I'm going to talk about strategies, tactics, and metrics to master the outbound sales funnel. I'm going to help you guys understand where the world is going when it comes to outbound. And for that, I'm going to be sharing all sorts of tidbits of information. I'm going to start probably with a quick PowerPoint, but then we can dive into like live dashboards, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, how to work different areas. And what I really want for this session is I want people to chime in. I want people to participate. I want people to ask questions, leave comments, regardless of if it's the Q&A or the chat. Do me a favor and participate. So the first thing I want to talk about is that I think sales development is broken. Like, too many companies are doing this wrong. Too many companies are hiring SDRs right out of college with zero experience, and they're putting them in a role that they're asking them to do too many things that they're unfamiliar with. Like, I am seeing my younger brother's friends graduate college, and what are they used to on a daily basis? They never pick up the phone. They don't even call their friends, their mom or their girlfriends. When they write anything, it's a 5-page essay, and they're always trying to figure out, how do I make it longer? How do I increase the font from 12 to 12.2 so the professor doesn't realize that I'm trying to increase my wording? And how do I add as much fluff as possible? And then we hire those same people and we put them in a role where we're like, not only are going to be making cold calls and sending emails, but the cold calls you make have to be short and to the point, and so do the emails. And by the way, you need to learn Outplay and Lucia and Lead IQ and Zoom Info and Vidyard and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And by the way, research all your data, copy paste a bunch of stuff, put it in a place, and split your time in a beautiful way where everybody or where you are being hyper productive. So I'm going to share screens to highlight what we are expecting from, let's see, screen sharing. There we go. This is what we're expecting from our SDRs, right? 1 million tasks. Here's your pie chart of how you split your time during the day. Please go do good work. And what happens? That doesn't happen. This happens. These sorts of emails that we all get, especially if you're an executive, you're getting these emails many times. Hopefully they're not as horrible as this is, but there's no spacing between paragraphs. The bullet points are too far indented. There's bolding for no reason. There's a vertical line in the subject line, 2 dots and a question mark. That makes no sense. No image in the signature, no logo, no face, nothing. What the hell? Like, this makes no sense to me. So what I want to run you guys through is, what is the future sales development? How are we going to succeed? And here's what that would look like. Step number 1, you're going to get a phone call. You look at your phone, you're like, who the hell is calling me from Florida? And you're probably not going to pick up. So what happens a few days later or a few hours later? Here's what happens a few hours later if you're running a world-class SDR team. come on screen, share again. You're scrolling through LinkedIn, you're going through your day, and suddenly as a prospect, you see an ad. And the ad is personalized to your company. So if you were working for IBM, you would be seeing this ad from AltiSales. It says IBM has built a world-class SDR team. And by the way, the top part is also personalized. It says there's hundreds of companies out there that need solutions from IBM, but they aren't coming to your website. Even the bottom, it says IBM's revenue machine is about to take off. Personalized ad. Okay, cool, good. Lots of companies not doing that, but what do you think is going to happen? Nobody's going to pay attention. They're not going to click on that. Why? Because they never do. So what's going to happen? You're going to call them again. They're going to see again your number from Florida. A few days later, they're going to be like, I'm not going to pick up. So a few days later again, or a few hours later, you are going to perhaps send them an email. Let's start with the email. You're going to send them an email. The email is going to be personalized. And here what I'm bringing is different templates from different examples, just so you guys understand that this isn't particular to AltiSales. But it should look something like this, right? Happy Thursday, Brent. I called you at this number. Congrats on your new class. This is to a university. College Board says you admit X number of applicants, blah, 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 blah. Like what I've done here is I've color-coded this template so you all understand. Certain parts of this template are exactly what I called it, a template. And certain parts are a variable. If you're using a good sales engagement tool, the sales engagement tool allows you to put nice variables in there. That's what you should be doing. The real question, though, is, okay, how am I going to find these variables? How am I going to go get the right information? And what you really got to do is be diligent with your process. I said too many SDRs are being tasked with too many things. So this is a good client experience. This is what I want to receive as a client, but how do I execute as an SDR? Well, let's make it even more complex. Imagine that this email also gets ignored. Okay, you call them again. Finally, they pick up. They say, hello, this is Brent. I'll say, Brent, this is Tito. I'm calling from XYZ company. Do you have 2 minutes? He's like, no, dude, I can't. I'm super busy. You can go send him a connect request on LinkedIn and try to connect. You're starting to see the interplay. What if they don't? Pick up the phone? Well, you don't want to let them know you called, so maybe you send another email or another. You send a LinkedIn request or a LinkedIn message with a message like this, right? Hey, I sent you an email. I almost called you. Blah blah blah. The subject line of the email was X. By the way, I love your experience with this previous company. You also have a recommendation for this person. Blah blah blah. I see you speak German. Grüße. What I'm trying to take you guys through is what the future looks like for sales development. Sales development is not, let's grab a template and blast the hell out of it, and let's grab Connect and Sell or Orem and call the hell out of everybody. The future of sales development is as a prospect feeling excited about people reaching out to me and that looking very, very professional. So calls, emails, LinkedIn, ads, and guess what? If you're running ads, you can even text your clients. And if you text them from your cell phone, not from a platform. Why? Because you want iMessage to work. You got to continue to improve and evolve the way that you're doing things. So this is a really good example. Hey, a few people in your team clicked on the ad that we're displaying. It says Domino's Pizza, right? Domino's. Let's talk about API security, blah, blah, blah. I'm from this company. And then some people might respond. So I'm going to take a quick break there to bring David back on screen. And, what are you thinking about this approach? And, do we have any questions from the audience so far?
Hello. Yeah, back. Making sure. Sound check. Good.
Yeah.
The takeaway that I got from it, right, in a word, and Abby pointed this out in chat, is evolve. It's time to evolve. It's time to change and level up the game, right? A new way to go about it. Because what's old is not working. It's broken. It's dated, antiquated, and not effective, ultimately.
Correct.
In a nutshell.
I agree. Now, the most common question I get here, David, is, okay, Tito, I get it. We got to evolve. But everybody's saying that. But it's so much work, dude. Like, I'm an SDR. I'm finding my leads. I'm doing my stuff. Like, I don't have time. You're telling me I got to make $50 to $100 a day. You want me to send 50 to 100 emails. You want me to research. You want me to personalize. You want me to text. You want me to. So, like, how am I going to ever do that?
Yeah.
Is that top of mind for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And like not just the what you need to do, but how you're going to go about it. right? We get the why, but the how you're going to go about it's definitely a challenge for a lot of folks to have to answer.
Okay.
We do have a question if you're ready for one
Yeah,
as
sure.
well. This one's kind of a this or that approach, right? So iMessage versus platform messaging. What's your take?
I prefer iMessaging because it feels more human
Okay.
rather than the platform messaging, which usually when you're messaging from a platform, it will show up as a text message, not like an iMessage. So not everybody has an iPhone, but if you're reaching out to, VP, director, C-level executives, those executives usually have money and usually buy expensive phones. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to buy an iPhone, but the iPhone tends
Sure.
to have some correlation with wealth. Like the people with a lot of money have iPhones. So when you start iMessaging, they will see you'll stand out from the crowd. That's the only thing I'll say.
Okay. Gotcha. It's a way to differentiate yourself in addition to the right message, in addition to your other approaches, but differentiation could be as much as the device you're using, right?
Correct. I was trying to. Okay, so I want to go back to tell people how we're going to operationalize this to excellence. It's telling me I can't present while a question is being shown on
Yep.
screen.
Here you go. I had to stop
Love
doing
it.
that part and back to you.
So here's what I want to tell people. We before split the SDR or the AE role into several roles. Back in the day, if you were a seller in the 70s, you would do your own prospecting, you would do your own closing, and you would also do your own account management. You would own that account and you would service that account. There was no account managers, there was no customer success, there's no onboarding manager. Nowadays, we've split the AE to customer success side, and we split the AE to SDR side. I think the SDR side needs to be split in further steps. And here's what I'm looking at, and here's what we're executing on today. And I think the world has to catch up, or you're dead. What you're going to do is you're going to hire a junior SDR. All they do is data research. So I'm telling you, you're going to go personalized to how much funding they've raised, how many employees they're hiring, how much growth do they have on LinkedIn, the ads that they're displaying on Instagram. Depending on what you're selling, there's different points that you can personalize. And there's certain things that you can search for every company and you'll find it. So why don't companies just hire a junior SDR that all they do is data research, data validation, and they go on the tools like ZoomInfo, Lucia, LeadIQ, blah, 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 and they gather all those email variables and phone numbers and so on and so forth. That should be one role. Your second role is going to be your senior SDR. All they do is make those dials. They work on email responses. Heck, you can even have the junior SDR be sending the emails, right? The emails are pre-written by your VP of sales development. All the variables are being queued up by the junior sales development, and now the emails just need to trigger. Same thing on LinkedIn. I don't need to have the SDR that I have, call it in the US, making $50 an hour or whatever it is, right? $100,000 a year if they're hitting quota and they're amazing. You can have somebody else assist with the messaging. You can have a couple of call it intern-like employees helping you out. At the end of the day, you still need SDR management and SDR operations. What I want to dive into first is how do we operationalize the junior SDR role? So I'm going to get out of here and into LinkedIn, right? If you're a LinkedIn Sales Navigator and I'm looking for personas, you should know that you can come and customize certain things, right? So you should learn Boolean searches. So this is an example of, call it one of our clients. We're trying to sell to the US and Canada. So we're looking for people there, director level plus, and then certain titles, demand generation or demand gen or marketing or account-based or ABM, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get a list of leads. These leads should be taken by one employee and being put on a big sheet. And you can see that I've purposely kind of obfuscated some of the email and phone numbers, but you can grab this data and copy paste it and know what company do they work for, what are their names, what are their titles, blah, 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 and even get their LinkedIn profiles. With all this data, now I can upload it into my sales engagement platform or upload it into my CRM and then pass it to my sales engagement platform. So the idea of having a data researcher, what this is going to do, this junior SDR is going to free up the time for your senior SDR to actually do the work that requires a lot of communication. One guy's in charge of data, one guy's in charge of communication. I'll take a quick break there before I start diving into the metrics that I really, really want to see from this cohort of people working together. And as you saw on the slides, David, as I bring you back on stage, There's SDR managers, SDR operations, VP of sales development. Is this like out of the box thinking for you, or how many companies are you seeing this?
A great point and great question. In fact, I participated on a panel recently at another event, a trade show back in October. We were talking about this as well, kind of the future indoor, what a healthy indoor, quote unquote, proper sales organization, specifically business development organization, would look like, right? So even internally here at Outplay, we've evolved and changed our approach, and we have a role now that we're excited about, and it's proven very effective. We refer to it as an MRE, or market research executive, right? So the function is to support the SDRs in providing and validating data, lead list, helping and supplementing workflow automations, et cetera. So very much aligned with actually what you outlined there, which was reassuring to me.
Cool, awesome. Then we need to measure the success of each rep, right? So on the data research side, you can do cool things like, okay, like how many leads are you bringing? What's our bounce rate per rep, and like who's researching what? You can measure the role really easily. One of the things that I'm surprised by is how SDRs are not measuring their effectiveness as well as they should. Like, people are still managing either on meetings completed or meetings set or activity. It's like, how many calls did you make?
Okay.
Okay. How many meetings do you get? 1. Okay. Like, that's good or bad. And like, that's as far as they go. So what I want to show you next is some of the metrics, because this is strategies, tactics, and metrics. I told you the strategy. The strategy is to go out and make the prospects feel warm and fuzzy and like you really like them. The tactics is to start using multi-channel approach and to start splitting your team into a strategic bundle of people that work together. Now let's talk a little bit about the metrics.
All right.
Let me go back to screen sharing. I'm gonna run people through what I'm seeing here. And as you can see, I've blurred out the left because I have some proprietary naming conventions here that I'm not gonna share with you guys today. But here's what we're looking at. And you can see this data very purposefully. I grabbed a dashboard from 2019 because I don't care anymore. But here's what we're looking at. On the table over here, you're looking at number of dials, number of connections, and then we have some benchmarks for number of conversations, deep conversations, or whatever you want to call it, and then meetings set. And we have some benchmarks to hit. On the other side, we have the timeline, moving, in this case, very strangely, right to left. This is because we're using Google Sheets and we want the data. It comes directly via API to load on the top left corner. You don't want to be doing this manually. It's a little bit of a pain. So API it is for us. Here's what we're looking at. This is July 1st, 2019. The senior SDR made 111 dials a day, 3 days in a row for $333. This is 4th of July, so short week. And they had 19 people pick up the phone. And they say, hello, this is John, or this is David. What do we say? I say, David, this is Tito Bohrt. I'm with AltiSales. Do you have 2 minutes? 6 people told me, go to hell, Tito, I'm in a meeting. Or I can't take the call right now. Or I thought you were someone else. That's fine. 6 people hung up on me. 13 people said, oh, yeah, what is this about? Okay, cool. So we can continue. I got a conversion rate of 68.42%. And I would say, hey, David, I'm calling you from AltiSales. We are a company dedicated to building sales development teams that take your in-house SDR team to the next level. With metrics, tactics, and strategies, we can elevate and evolve your team to get twice as many meetings per day. I was wondering, or twice as many meetings per month. I was wondering, how are you currently managing your SDR's processes? Have you built call calling funnels, email sentiment metrics, and some of those advanced tactics? Right? Cool. When I asked that question, 9 people said, Tito, go to hell. We're all set. I don't want to outsource. 4 people said, oh, yeah, dude, you know what? We are only using basic metrics. Cool. I have a conversion ratio, 30%. And you get the idea. Out of those 4, I got 2 to take a meeting. 2 told me to screw you, even though they weren't using something as advanced as I was using. Now, what's happening here? How are we measuring this data? Well, here's what we're looking at. With these arrows, I'm pointing you to the problem. The problem is that we lost too many people here. And that can be the script. It can be the pitch. It can be how the rep is saying certain things, the objection handling. We're not prepared. We don't understand the positioning. It could be a million different things. Cool. So what are we going to do? The manager action items here was to come and change the top of the script to do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. They're trying to increase engagement and higher number of blah, 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 blah. And then this was changed on 7/9, and we're going to test for 3 weeks. Over the next 3 weeks, we tested that, and as you can see, it went from 30%. Even this week, it was changed on 7/9, which was a Tuesday. This is anchored, I think, to Mondays. So this even got a little bit better, and then better, right? Like, it's not going to be linear. Like, we're not going to get always a little bit better. There's good weeks, there's bad weeks. You get lucky, you get unlucky. But on average, these 3 weeks, you got 18 plus 20, that's 38, 49. Out of 49, you got 22, 29. 29 out of 49, call it 30 out of 50. That's almost 60%. I got results. I got much better than I was before. I'll take that. I love it, right? So that's a little bit of the metrics. The other thing that I look at metrics is email. And when we look at email, there are ways that you can measure sentiment according to the sales engagement tool you're using and whatever else. Or you can even use a rudimentary pen and paper. Like, it doesn't really matter. I used to do this on pen and paper. Now I have some APIs coming here. But here's what I want you to think about. This is a step of the sequence, step 2, step 5, 6, 7. And you can see that there's multiple templates per step. So what are we looking at? I can see how many emails were delivered, how many were open, replied, how many of those replies were positive, neutral, or negative. What does this inform? Out of the 1,690 emails, right, I got 9 positive replies. So 9 people either took a meeting or gave me a referral. 21 people gave me some objection, pushback in timeline or whatever else. And 3 people are really annoyed by my outreach. But now if I divide 60/90 by 9, if anybody's good at math, you'll get 187.8. That means that if I send another 187 emails with this template, I'm going to get a meeting. And you say, this template, you're templatizing your emails? They're templates? What the hell are you doing? Yes, sir. These are templates. And the templates look amazing. They look amazing because they got variables. And the variables are amazing because I get a data research team that is willing and able to research that data and bring it back to me. So when I go back to these metrics here and here, these are templates. Now, what do I need to do? I need a very smart guy who knows how to write awesome emails, but not only write awesome emails one-off, write awesome email templates and understand the variables. And then I can A, B, C, D, E, F test this email. And you can see that we've tried to beat it. We've been unable to do so. Every 187 emails I send, I get a meeting. How many emails do I send a day? About 100. Okay, so if I send only this template, I get a meeting every 2 days. A meeting every 2 days is about 10 meetings a month. Just sending a template. Now, the problem of just sending this template is that I'm going to burn through my market really quickly. So it's a sequence. Step number 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the idea, man. I know the people attending today aren't newbies to the sales development world. So bringing you back here, David, I assume now the audience is going crazy because I just went really deep. What questions are we getting from you or the rest of the viewers?
Yeah, just crazy and perplexed with questions. Really peppered throughout everything you presented thus far. There's one actually that's a pretty good one, in my opinion. I think that more than one person wants to know the answer to. But how do you train the data researcher, right? What's your approach internally to empower, enable them, and groom them for that role and position?
Yes. You got to read a book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek, because he will teach you how to train people with very low skill levels into doing things that you need them to do. The methodology I follow is do, delegate, automate. I don't automate anything I haven't delegated, and I don't delegate anything I haven't done. If I haven't done it, I don't delegate, right? This is when you are the leader of your department. Obviously, I'm going to delegate HR to somebody else because I'm not an HR leader. I'm a sales development leader. But within my world of sales development, nothing is delegated unless it was done by a leader, and nothing is automated unless it was delegated before. So how do I train the data research? I freaking did the data research for months. And then I hired an intern and I was like, dude, sit next to me 6 hours a day and watch what I'm doing. You're going to do the same thing. And then they watched and they did. And then because I'm using Google Sheets when we're working remote, I can log into their sheet. And I can see what they're doing. And if I see them screwing it up, I'm like, oh, boo, yo, what up? Here's how you do it.
Course correct, yeah.
That's it. You train the data researcher the same way you train any employee on any role, and the same way you train your dog to do tricks. You tell them what to do. When they do it, you give them a reward. You pay them a salary. That's what you do.
Yeah, that's how it should work, right? It's kind of a no-brainer at the end of the day. Good deal. Well, we've got another question here from Brian Badillo. If the company won't invest or can't justify, this many people, right, to create such a robust sales org or SDR org that you've outlined here, how do you suggest that an organization invest as or individuals rather, invest as a rep if we wanted to start or get started in your model? So is there a virtual solution to start down that path, i.e. VAs?
So it's a good question, but it's a hard question, because if you're like, hey, Tito, my company doesn't want to invest in anything. They just hired me as the SDR, and like I'm the only SDR at this company, and I don't even have Outplay or any other sales engagement tool, and I don't even have Zoom Info or any other data research tool. Like, how do I do my job? I say, dude, you don't do your job. You go to your boss, you say, this company is not good. I'm out of here. See ya. I'm gonna go work at AltiSales, and then you apply to work with us, and you send me a LinkedIn message, right? That's what you got to do, because you can't do your job without tools. It's like you asking me, you know, oh, like I want to be a good tennis player. I don't have a racket. Like, how would I start my job? Like, dude, you can't be a good tennis player without a racket. Like, you need a racket. You need the tools. You need the processes. Now, if you're telling me, okay, Tito, here's what I have. I have my sales engagement tool. I have my data tools. I just don't have the data researcher. Yes, you need a virtual assistant. And when I was an account executive before I started AltiSales, I hired a virtual assistant for $4 an hour back in the day, right? Now you might need to pay 8 or 10 or whatever, or 7. But I hired somebody in Philippines or in India, and I would work my 9 to 5 doing my own work. And then 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., I was preparing the work for the data researcher and then meeting with them, coaching them on it and inspecting their work. And I would do my meetings with Philippines when it was, I don't know, like 8 p.m. Or 7 p.m. Pacific, and it was like 10 a.m. in the morning for them. And we would meet and chat, blah, blah, blah. I'd give them a task. I'd get back to work. I wake up the next morning, all my leads were ready. Hell yes. That's yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a life hack. I love it.
It's a life hack. So Tim Ferriss taught me how to communicate with those people, how to train them through his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which is highly recommended.
Awesome. Another one, this one's actually kind of a common theme, and I feel like we kind of addressed this some with the iMessaging, but again, on the notion of using those personalized messaging services, right? Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, etc. Does it feel too invasive? And if I recall correctly, you're saying it doesn't, depending on how you package it, right?
Yes, my opinion is that the world's evolving, right? Like, does WhatsApp feel too invasive? It depends a little bit on the country and the culture, right? Like in the US, I feel that WhatsApp is not very much used because so many people have iMessage. And if you look at the evolution of telecommunications around the world, the US was one of the first countries to roll out unlimited free text messaging, right? I grew up in Bolivia. I remember paying the equivalent of like $3 per text message. But like when you're sending 50, it's so expensive. Like, you're crazy. I'm not going to pay $15 for text messaging or whatever it is, $1.50 to like text message my friend today. Like, no way. So WhatsApp became very popular. So if you're reaching out to Latin America or Southeast Asia or places like that, I think WhatsApp is fine. It's maybe even better than the iMessage. If you're in the US, maybe it's different, but I'd say test it. Test your personas, test the people. Like, it might also depend a little bit on, like, some people might not even have WhatsApp, right? But if you look at their profile and they speak 3 languages and they've traveled a lot, WhatsApp's probably a really good idea. Like, I've lived in 5 countries. I've traveled to 46. Like, if I show you my notifications, like, there you go. There's a WhatsApp. Done. Right? So, like, if you WhatsApp me, I'll see it. Now, if you WhatsApp me with a terrible messaging, I'm going to be really pissed. If you're like, Tito, I want to show you my platform, I'm going to like, screw you. But if you're like, Tito, try you on WhatsApp, as I know you're overwhelmed with people reaching out in every other platform, would love to chat with you about API security for blah, blah, blah. Worth it, or should I piss off? Or whatever. Like, okay, fair. Like, bold attempt, like, you got to get the lingo right with the channel. I can't say the same thing via LinkedIn that I said via email. I can't say the same thing via email that I said via phone. Video is different from voice message. Voice message is different from WhatsApp. You got to understand, how invasive are you being? Are you apologetic? Are you, do you do the opposite? Like, you got to test a little bit. So I won't give you all the secrets today, but yes, I think WhatsApp is fine.
Fair enough. Thank you. Ready for another one, or did you want to jump back into some more of your?
We can do a couple more questions. I know we only have 10 minutes, and I've shown a lot. The next thing I want to talk about is account executives. Like, you're getting the right meetings with the right people. Okay, now what? Like, I've seen horrible things there, but I'll take one more question before we dive into that.
Yeah. So if I get one to choose from the available ones, I'm going to go actually with Harshit's, which is a statement followed by a question, which is: I'm the only SDR at my company. I have my tools, Zoom info, limb list, and everything else. I'm thinking to start with account-based sales as normal outbound isn't working currently. What roadmap should I follow?
I don't know if you telling me that it's not working, what should I do? Because I would need to inspect it. I would need to charge you $2,500 an hour for me to be a consultant and go inspect that. I can drive you to one of my managers. They only charge $1,200. Maybe that's better. Probably you can't afford it. I don't know if your company can afford it, all that.
Yeah.
So this is a really hard question. I get asked all the time, Tito, what are the 3 keys to SDR success? And I say, 3 keys? Are you joking? There's 157 keys to SDR success, right? And you don't need to get all of them perfect. If you got, all of them good, you're a genius, right? And it's like any sport. Like, think about American football or like soccer. We have an international audience today. Soccer, okay. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the best players, or Mbappe or Messi, whoever you like, I don't care. What are the 3 things they do that make him successful? 3 things? Are you joking? Cristiano Ronaldo sprints 0.1 miles faster than the competition. He jumps half an inch taller. He kicks, 3 miles per hour faster. He puts his body in the right position, like, better. His arm is 14% stronger. Like, it's not about like, what are the 3 things? What do I do if it's not working? Dude, there's a million things to troubleshoot. And that's why you need good managers. Without good managers, you're dead. So sorry I can't help you today, but I'd rather be honest than try to give you some canned BS answer that any other person would write on LinkedIn and be like, oh, it's of course because you need X. Like, you need my tool. Nah.
There's no one answer to it. Absolutely. And to your point, it all depends. There's lots of variables. So anybody or she to give you an answer to that off the cuff, it's probably doing you disservice to Tito's point. Furthermore, you're welcome to join one of our booths and one of our sessions and pose that question or questions around it to our team. We're happy to help you brainstorm and kind of like at least get you pointed in the right direction on some answers as well, for what it's worth. So another question, or we're gonna jump back into your content? 7 minutes.
I'm gonna jump back into content because I wanna talk to people quickly about this.
Yeah. Good.
The goal, there's 3 buckets of leads. People are getting this wrong. People are talking inbound, outbound. Inbound, outbound, that's BS. There's 3 buckets. What are the 3 buckets? One is fast response inbound, is what I call it. And that includes demo requests, contact us forms, and chat. The characteristic of that type of lead is that the lead is expecting a response quickly from you. If it's chat, it better be less than a minute or less than 5 minutes. If it's a demo request or a contact us forms, it better be less than an hour, right? And what you need there is SDRs that are like paying attention to it on a 30-minute basis. You don't want to have the same SDR doing that as a guy who's doing the complete opposite job, which is cold outbound. Cold outbound is what the question was saying is, hey, I'm an SDR. I have a list of ABM target accounts. I'm finding the personas. I want to go after them, right? And then your third bucket is MQLs. And with MQLs, you got to have a really tough conversation with marketing because marketing wants to label as many leads as possible as MQLs. And you as an SDR, you don't want that because what do I rather do? If my biggest client is Verizon, do I rather place a call to the VP at AT&T where I know he has a problem that I can solve, even though he's not recognizing the problem at the moment? Or do I rather call the data analyst lead that came from South Florida Pancakes because he attended a webinar? Come on, dude. Don't call the South Florida Pancakes guy for a webinar. Call outbound cold to AT&T and Verizon. Like, those are your clients, right? So there's a lot of things to dissect there, but the one area I want to focus on is what do we do when we do cold outbound? The role of the SDR is only one, which is let me get you the right person at the right account. A right person I consider to be somebody above the power line or with influence on decision making, which should be a director level plus at the company, right? And the second thing is get the right company. Like, don't call South Florida Pancakes, call a good company. Once you get the meeting, that meeting should be sent to the account executive. And the one thing that companies fail at is I've seen I've seen directors of sales development, or even as an outsourcing company, leads come to me and they're like, Tito, we need some outsourcing help. And I'm like, yeah, tell me more. They're like, yeah, so this year we produced 1,000 leads and we closed 10 deals. So next year, instead of closing 10 deals, we're going to close 150 deals. So I need 15,000 meetings. No, dude, you don't need 15,000 meetings. You need to close a higher percentage of the meetings that you're actually having. So what I'm going to show you guys is a little dashboard. And if you don't have this dashboard as for your AE team as SDRs, you are dead. Because the only thing that they will say is the meetings are low quality. We need better meetings. We need better meetings. We need better meetings. And it doesn't matter how good of a meeting you get. The only thing they want is they want prospects that are ready to buy. And on outbound, prospects are never ready to buy. They're ready to buy when the leads are an inbound request because they already have a project. They're not ready to buy when it's an outbound lead. So when you're selling the problem rather than the solution, here's some dashboards that I recommend people build, and they got to be very conscious about how they do them. This is the bottom of the funnel. So this top dashboard, just we can take it one by one, is measuring our conversion rate or the number of meetings in April that had a survey completed. After every meeting is taken, I ask the account executives, take a survey. It's a 2-question survey. What are the outcomes of the meeting? And which is a pick list. And then give me more context. What else can you tell me about it? And here's what ends up happening. Like out of these meetings, 3 meetings were taken. They said that 3 meetings were qualified. So it was the right person on the right account. 2 meetings were engaged. It means that 2 meetings were open-minded about scheduling a second follow-up conversation. And then 1 meeting was what we call marked A. Marked A means AE is very confident this is entering pipeline. Out of those same 3 meetings, we looked at CRM and we correlated to the survey and we said that 1 meeting, and this is an old screenshot from June, as you can see, but that 1 meeting entered discovery stage. And what I'm going to be able to see in this dashboard is how many of those meetings that entered discovery ended up moving to scoping, tech evaluation, business evaluation, legal procurement, and close won. Obviously, my sales cycle, because I'm enterprise, takes 6 to 12 months. I'm middle of June taking this screenshot about my April data. I don't expect anything else other than something having joined discovery stage. But the beautiful part about building this dashboard is I can see how my conversions continue to evolve. So my number of qualified accounts is averaging 94%. That is really good. The number of qualified accounts that are engaged has continued to get better. That's good. The engaged being A is not good. And then moving to pipeline is okay-ish. If you're smart, you're going to start splitting this data by persona or by sales rep. So here, 4 or 5 different sales reps, and we see how many meetings have they taken. Out of those meetings, how many have they moved to pipeline? And out of that pipeline, how far have those meetings gone? If you start looking at your data in this smart way, where you're correlating success of different months, different people, or even different personas, how's cloud security moving into pipeline compared to non-cloud security, compared to operations versus DevOps, compared to a generalist? If I can understand how many of those are moving, that gives me a lot of insight into what I need to do. So when my AE says the meeting is crap, I said, what was wrong with it? Was it the seniority? Was it the persona? Was it the account? How can I help you better? And then let me tell you something. If this is the AE that's telling me that the meetings are bad and he's moved 0 to pipeline, and I, as an SDR, I support 5 AEs, and this other AE is moving 30% of the meetings into pipeline, I go to the VP and I say, hey, dude, I don't know if you notice this, but like the guy who's complaining has moved 0 to pipeline. The guy who's not complaining has moved 30% to pipeline. Is it me or is it them? I don't know. But if you don't have the data, you can't go up to your CRO and say, here's how you got to do it. So I know we're running out of time, David. What else do we have? Do we have time for anything else? Any other questions?
Yeah, so much like before with the others, for those still with us here, what we'll do is we're going to answer 1 to 2 more questions, and then we'll do our transition with a poll and wrap things up here. But so 1 to 2 more questions. Let's see. Okay, your take as Tito for is video prospecting a fad or a bubble?
Is video prospecting a fad or a bubble? I will reiterate what I said before. I'm going to be congruent with my answer. You can do video prospecting very well if you know how to do it.
Okay.
And different SDRs have different skills. Do we use video a lot? We don't. I think that video is a slow mode of communication. Just like I was saying, David, earlier today, like I don't go to a lot of conferences in person unless I really want to ask questions. What I do is I watch them later at 3x speed. When you send me a video, unless I can watch it at 3x speed, I don't want to watch it. It's too long. Like, if tell me what you're going to tell me in text, I prefer that. Or tell me over the phone. Just speak to me and have a conversation. Video is a one-way speech. So if you're good at video, you can do good things with video. But I don't think video is for everybody, and I don't think video should be like everybody trying it. Right now, I think it's a little bit of a bubble. So many people have tried video that when I send a video, people just don't even click on it. So I'm not using it.
It's not a differentiator anymore. It's kind of what you're saying. And don't do it if you suck at it. Paraphrasing. Got it. Another question from Naveen. How do you develop consideration on a cold call? Make them consider listening to you. How do you do that? With all caps. So.
Okay, have them listen to you. There's going to be a lot of things here that influence. A lot of it has to do with your tone of voice and your accent. I am from Bolivia. 10 years ago, when I was trying to making cold calls, I was getting shut down so bad because I had an accent. So if your native language is not the language that you're calling, and theirs is, you're going to have a problem. So if you are from Japan, or from Bolivia, or from India, or from Russia, and you're calling the US, and they're like, hello, you're like, hello, this is Tito Bohrt from Russia. Like, you're dead, dude. I am sorry. It's not your fault. They just perceive that to be low quality, and therefore you're getting killed. Now, assume that you got that right. You got to learn how to have an executive conversation. So a good opening is understanding what is the psychological journey. So when I get a phone call, right, I look at my phone, I'm like, who the hell is calling me? So the first thing you got to tell me on the phone is your name. If I don't recognize your name, the next thing I think is like, what the hell are you calling me about? And why me? So the way I open a call, if I'm calling David would be like, hello, right? People don't pick up the phone today with like, hello, my name is David Youngblood. How can I help you? Like, that does not happen. It's like, hey, right? So I'd say, hey, David, this is Tito Bohrt. I am the CEO here at AltiSales. I was just hoping to speak with you briefly. Do you have 2 minutes for me? Because what do I want? I want to create curiosity. David's going to be like, okay, Tito Bohrt, AltiSales. I've never heard of you. I don't know your name. Do I have 2 minutes? Maybe I'll say yes. Maybe I'll say, what the hell is this about? Either way, they're saying yes. What the hell is this about? That's exactly what I was about to tell you. So like, I don't need to change anything. And I'll tell you, hey, David, I'm calling you because I saw you guys are hosting Accelerate, and I'm a really good speaker, bro. People love my content. You should have me in. But before that, I wanted to ask you, what is the 3 topics of content that you wish you had at that conference that you haven't yet put content together or whatever? Like, I'm coming up on the spot with the script, right? But David would be like, oh, Tito, that's a good question, dude. You know what? We really want somebody to talk about the evolution of SDR strategies. I'd be like, okay, cool. What's number 2, right? And then now he's engaged because I'm talking to him about something that he cares about. And your customers, for everybody who's doing cold calls, your customers don't care about your product whatsoever. 0%. What do they care about?
They care about themselves. Yeah.
Their problems. So when you cold call, don't talk about solutions, you talk about problems. So, hey, prospect, how are you making sure that your SDRs are maximizing the engagement of their prospects when they're doing outbound dials and blah, blah, blah? How are you making sure that you're not paying excessive amounts of money for platforms like SalesLoft? How are you, blah, blah, blah? Just how are you, blah, 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 solving this problem?
Yeah.
And that's how you get them curious by asking for 2 minutes, get them intrigued by asking about the problems, and then you can close them.
Solid. So with that, we will be wrapping up. We went a little bit over. Apologies, everyone. That's my fault. I'm getting yelled at in Slack again. It's like my favorite thing to do. But Tito, you are amazing. Thank you so much. A plethora of information. Definitely looking forward to following up and connecting and sharing some more conversation via LinkedIn, as well as maybe doing something next year together. So we'll see about that.
Here, add me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
If you're a high-performing SDR and you feel like you need better management, better tools, better mindset, we are hiring like crazy here at AltiSales. So ping me there. And if you ever need just feedback, advice, ideas, don't write me like 7 paragraphs expecting me to inspect all your work. But if you have something very, very concrete and short, message me on LinkedIn. I'm here to help. Thanks for hosting me, David. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tito.